Back here on TYT Sports, Francis and Jason. Charles Barkley had some interesting comments to say on Thursday concerning who is the best basketball player in the world at the moment. Let's take a quick look and see what Barkley had to say.
The way you said it.
Kawhi Leonard is the best basketball player in the world, in my opinion.
So you would take him over LeBron James and Steph Curry?
First of all, Steph is the best offensive player in the NBA. LeBron was the best player for the last 10 years or more. But at his age, I would take Kawhi Leonard over any basketball player in the world right now.
You're shaking your head just a bit over here.
He's a good player. He has a great story, so that moves him up to a great player. But he's not the best player in the world. You know, he plays good defense, does a few things on offense, but
leads the league in three-point shooting, as a matter of fact.
It's between LeBron and Steph Curry right now, who's the best player in the world.
Well, I'm just saying, Steph Curry is the best offensive player in the world. That's not debatable. But if you're looking at both ends of the floor, like I say, LeBron's older. But if I needed one player today
to start
my franchise, I'm going with Kawhi Leonard. Yes.
Okay. Well, that's not what I would say, but I would say Kawhi Leonard would be somewhere around there to help my team. But LeBron James, to me, is the franchise starter. Steph Curry is right behind him, but the franchise starter is still, to me. You're going to be in the NBA Finals in the last 6 years. This guy's been there every year. There's no one else that's been in the Finals that many times and that's going to be there. And they're going to be back there this year again. There's no doubt about it.
And they're going to play.
They're the best team.
And I think they're going to play this team here in the Finals.
Right, okay.
You know, man, I agree with Barkley. The eyebrows went up. I agree with Barkley because if you break down everything he said, he's not wrong at all. He said Steph Curry is the best offensive player on the planet right now.
Yeah.
Right? He's right about that. He's the best offensive player on the planet right now. He said that, and Kenny Smith and Shaq go with LeBron, who's having a great statistical season, undoubtedly, and he can play both ends of the floor. But we also know during the regular season, you know, people forget to mention is LeBron GMs as much as he plays, and there's going to be a point where he's going to take probably a 5-game break with no injury. They'll make up an injury, which is fine because LeBron's in this to win the championship, not to just win the regular season. But Kawhi plays both ends of the floor at an unbelievably athletic level. He's the most efficient three-point shooter in the league, not a better three-point shooter than Steph Curry, but the most efficient. If you raise the number of threes that he takes to the level that Steph Curry takes, he wouldn't shoot as efficiently, or at least most likely. He shuts down the best scorers in the game, Kevin Durant, Carmelo Anthony. The list really goes on, right? And of course, it's a product of Greg Popovich's system all in all, and that's just how good it is. And let's not forget that Kawhi Leonard was an NBA Finals MVP.
Yep.
He's got experience. So he's been to the finals, he's performed on that level, and there's going to be a lot to see what happens throughout the rest of the season. And lastly, if you're going to make the argument that Steph Curry is the best player in part because the Warriors are the best team, not for anything. The Spurs are 2 games behind the Warriors and are actually outscoring their opponents at a better level. There's a bigger point differential in their wins than there is with the Warriors. Not saying, just saying, my vote's for Kawhi.
I agree that Charles Barkley is not wrong, but I don't necessarily think he's right either, right? So I think that he's making this argument based on who he thinks going to be, who he would build his team around. So the Barkley Bulldogs, he's going to build his team around them, right? So he's thinking bring in a young, arguably the best defensive player in the NBA, who shoots well, who is just having a phenomenal season, put him in there and build a team around him, right? So I think if you, for instance, when I'm thinking about this argument, you put Kawhi Leonard in there, you maybe build another 4 average NBA players around him. Could they potentially go to the NBA Finals? Could they be a championship winning team? Perhaps. What I think about when I'm thinking about the best player in the league at the moment is someone who in any given moment could take me to the next level. If I put Steph Curry in there as a point guard, you mentioned there that Kawhi Leonard could shut down Kevin Durant. I'm not saying he couldn't shut down Steph Curry, but I think you logistically did not put him in that category because
different
Steph
positions.
Curry's true, but I'm talking about if you were to play against anyone, different positions, understandably. But I just think even if you were to put the best defensive player on Steph Curry, he's unplayable. He's unplayable because of his release. He's unplayable because he is able to score as efficiently anywhere on the court. You mentioned it to me yesterday when we were walking to lunch. Whether he's taking a shot from 25 foot or whether he's just bordering the three-point line, his release is exactly the same.
Yeah.
He doesn't use his legs. It's more like he does use his legs, but it's all in his release. He's one of the only players that we've seen that's able to release the ball so quickly without generating that much power from his legs. It's all on his wrist. And this is without me even mentioning LeBron James, who I would still take second. I'm not saying Kawhi Leonard. I still think he's in there. at third, and I've not even mentioned if I was building a team from the start that I'd probably take Anthony Davis. If you're talking about youth, if you're talking about building a team around someone, perhaps Anthony Davis. But for me, it is Steph Curry. But that being said, what have you got to say about LeBron James? Because surely he's got to be considered.
Again, I've made this point a couple times on TYT Sports before, and that's that I consider myself a LeBron apologist because it's tough to ever say anybody's better than LeBron. Again, I know what I said, Kawhi Leonard's the best player in the league right now, but LeBron is always going to be hovering right around there. Voter fatigue caused him not to get an MVP last year. Voter fatigue also, for whatever reason, did not give MVP to LeBron in the finals, which is a travesty. I don't care if Iguodala shut him down. But LeBron's averaging, actually, per 36 minutes, one of his best statistical seasons, 25-ish points, 7-ish rebounds, 6.5-ish assists. I'm hovering in the ballpark there. His on-off-court plus-minus is probably a plus $1 billion because he just makes his team so much better. And with Kyrie Irving on the floor now, with Kevin Love really finding his system, LeBron's only going to make them even better. Yeah. That's a championship roster. LeBron's going to go back to the finals. Kenny Smith said it himself for whatever, the 6th or 7th straight year. We don't see this since the 60s that guys are going to go to the finals, possibly a decade straight. Yeah, he's 2-4 in the finals. We get it. We get it. We get it. LeBron is right up there as well. You really can't go wrong. But if you had to make me choose one, I want Kawhi. I want the 23-year-old dude with the cornrows that's, got the most boring dunk in the NBA and is locking down defenders. And
a final point, I mean, most people think when Charles Barkley makes comments like this that it is to ruffle the feathers, it is to stir the pot. But statistically, if you're thinking about the game, it's not that much of an inaccurate statement. It's not that much of a controversial statement. It's just because people just assume everywhere in the world, don't just think this is in America, but when you mention best basketball player in the world, it just rolls off the tongue that it's Steph Curry, LeBron James, those type of players. But Kawhi Leonard is a player that's probably going to be underappreciated all throughout his career. Not underappreciated because he doesn't do enough, but in comparison, when you look at people like Steph Curry, who takes that amount of three-point shots and is able to convert a ridiculous amount of them, scorers are always going to gain attention. They're always going to gain attention. And Steph Curry, when you're thinking about it from his position, like I just mentioned, I take him because I don't think anyone in the world, no matter how you try to play against Steph Curry, can defend his conversions, can defend what he can do on the court. That's why I take him in the
It's a changing of the guard because LeBron's still in that conversation, but Steph and Kawhi are the new futures of the NBA. Steph's not the future. Future, yes, he's a little bit older. Kawhi, of course, there too. But speaking of that old guard, because at one point LeBron, Michael Jordan, I want to say at one point LeBron and Kobe really changed the guard from Michael Jordan. Yeah. And on the broader aspect of things, there was a hashtag Ask POTUS, Ask President of the United States.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Very simple question, but they left out the question mark. Mr. President, Kobe, MJ, or LeBron? And Mr. President said he loves them all, but as a Bulls fan, he's got to go with MJ. And Baton Rouge just met LSU freshman Ben Simmons, will be great also. That was in response to @cool_ant and the Ask POTUS Twitter thing that happened on January 14th, as you can see from the tweets. So not surprising Obama went with MJ. He's from Chicago. He's a big Bulls fan. It makes sense. But again, it's almost the same conversation. All of those guys are champions. LeBron has 2, MJ has 6, Kobe has 5, Curry's got 1, Kawhi's got 1. Like, there's a similar trait. They're all winners.
Yeah. And it's not, and before we get to that, I mean, no pressure, Ben Simmons. Like,
to wrap everything up, do you know who has no championships but a sweet jumper? POTUS.
Hit it.
I may not make the first one, but I'll make one eventually. It is.
Oh, man. President Obama, I was telling this story before the clip that when you play pickup basketball, right, you get players that, for whatever reason, get big egos in pickup basketball. And they'll drive to the lane if they get any contact. I mean, any contact. And one. Just to, you don't go to the foul line and pick up basketball.
I shout it from the bench.
I get it. And then there's guys that will do it on a fast break. They'll just lay it in and one. It's like, no. You obviously don't get how this game is played. Regardless, I've always thought that Obama, if he plays ball, and there's a petition for him to play in the 2017 Celebrity All-Star Game, that he just get there and those long pauses, will just drive in and one. Make sure to like, favorite, and subscribe.
One of your better impersonations.
I think you can do Obama. You watch him enough and you get the pauses down.
Yeah, I think he's one of the easier ones to do.
He's got to shave his head, man. He's got to go full Kobe. Got to go full MJ.
Let us know what you
Shave
guys
it
think.
off.
Let us know what you guys think about Charles Barkley's comments. Let us know what you think about Barack Obama's comments. Everything, all the good stuff in the comment section below. Like, favorite, subscribe. Come back again.